Fear and anxiety about the disease can be overwhelming and cause strong emotions in both adults and children. SABC reporter Hasina Gori sat down with the South African Depression and Anxiety Group.
As the number of coronavirus infections continue to grow daily in South Africa, we've spoken much on the physical symptoms as well as the impact it has on one's health. But what about the impact it has on the mental state of South Africans? We've seen the panic buying, the stockpiling, which have added to the anxiety levels of some South Africans. But to speak more on some of the non-medical or the non-physical aspects of COVID-19, we at the South African National Depression and Anxiety Group. Here to speak with me is Casey Chambers. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's start right at where we are right now in South Africa, where we've been declared a national state of disaster, and we've seen certain levels of panic, not total, complete panic, but where's the anxiety levels of South Africans right now?
I think in the last few days since the president's announcement, I think people are still processing what this means. There's been daily updates and changes every day on guidelines and new regulations. I think everyone's following and tracking the cases, which provinces, how. And I think all of this information people are just processing. And like you've mentioned, there is panic buying. There's people now working at home. Schools have closed. So much is changing that I think a lot of people are still actually just crisis processing. What does this mean? What is it going to look like in a week's time? What's going to happen about me working, my children? All these normal things that we're used to has completely changed. And every day it seems to be changing. So I think at the moment we're still processing, trying to figure out what this all means. How is it going to change my life and the daily things I'm used to? From the calls that we've been seeing in the call center and just people reaching out to us online, I think everyone is feeling very stressed. And it's normal that through all of what we're hearing and all the news and everything that's been happening, it's so normal to feel anxious and stressed and overwhelmed, whether you have a mental health issue or not. And I think it's just really about processing it, taking it step by step, and doing little things every day that can actually prevent you from getting so overwhelmed that you're not able to function.
Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, the overwhelmingness that many are feeling right now. It's a very uncertain time. We saw the stockpiling. Can you explain what may prompt people to getting to that stage of panic buying?
I think, again, when we think of any crisis, we immediately think, well, what's going to happen? And it starts to become that mob mentality, whereas if someone else is stockpiling, maybe I should be stockpiling, and maybe I should just be this stressed. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard when we're following the news so closely, it's constantly feeding information to us, which raises our panic and anxiety. So it's kind of thinking, well, what's going to happen? And if we base it on what happens in the movies, we're thinking stockpiling. We have to fill up our cupboards. We're not going to get food. We're not going to get medicine. There's not going to be any transport. And I think it's that negative thinking that snowballs. It's not based on any fact, but it's that fear, the fear of what if. And I think at the moment that's where we're all struggling, is that when you're out at the shops to get your normal groceries and there's everyone else stockpiling and everyone's getting toilet paper, it's difficult as a human to say, well, I'm not going to stress. I'm also not going to get it. It can escalate very, very quickly. So I think, and when we're hearing about it more, talking about it more, people are sharing more messages, sharing the fear, increasing the anxiety. We talk about it all the time, and I think we're at such a high state of anxiety at the moment. It's very difficult to find, and I think also to feel through what is fact, what is fiction, what can I do, what can't I do, and I think that's where it leaves people, is that we're not quite sure, so we just get just in case.
Mm-hmm. We've also seen with like Easter holidays, schools were closing, and that's changed now. How do we help children in this time to understand, what exactly is going on, but also bring down their anxiety levels that they might be feeding off the guardians around them as well? So what kind of tips does SADAG have for parents as well as for young ones out there?
I think for any parent or loved one who is around children, including teachers and loved ones, it's very difficult not to talk about corona, and we're hearing it on news. People are talking about it, reading about it. So as much as we try to shelter our children and protect them from all the scariness that's happening, they pick up on it. And I think it's that vibe and that tension and that anxiety that is often unspoken about. So I think for any parent is to be honest and to talk openly with your children. And there's different ways online as to what to say, what not to say, avoiding very scary words, crisis, disaster. In a child's brain, they're not able to process all of that. I think it's also really important to offer them reassurance. In a world where we're just exposed to all these negative things and news and words, is to kind of say, yes, there is this thing and we're going to take on these new measures to look after ourselves and have safety. It's also to try to help them to understand on how they can take ownership of their safety. So you can't go play outside, you can't play with friends, we can't go out, and to explain why and the process of germs. Again, you don't want to scare them, but you also want to empower them as to why you're changing and why their world today is changing. So often we're focusing so much on the negative to do with COVID-19. And I think as parents, our role is to kind of say, yes, this is very real and this is very scary for even me as a parent or mommy or daddy, but how can we do this together? Let's put up signs in the house. Let's wash hands together. Let's sing songs while doing it. So I think it's trying to find positive ways to deal with the coronavirus as much as we can and having open conversations, reassuring our children. I think there's a lot of fear at the moment, again, escalating the education system, homeschool learning, doing extra work, reading, what's going to happen. Just let them be kids for a moment. Let this be a time where they don't remember it as a traumatic event. Let them remember it as a time that mom and dad let them watch movies all day or have PJ days. I think it's to find that balance and make them feel safe and loved in this moment.
We are not at a stage right now where self-isolation is mandatory or where we are locked down or quarantined. But how do we ensure that when we get to that stage that people are not feeling completely physically isolated and also, it doesn't bring up that anxiety levels or, dip people more into a sense of like complete loneliness?
I think it's so hard because South Africans, we've never had to do social isolation or self-isolation or social distancing. So these are new concepts that we're getting used to and really understanding what are the parameters around that. And I think going to reliable sources and really reading up what that does mean, because again, as South Africans, we don't always know. And at the moment, we're testing it out. People are working from home. They're trying to avoid very public spaces and shopping. It's kind of to start our thinking and our plan of action. If we go into lockdown, if we're forced quarantine, what does that look like? What does that look like for me? What does it look like for my family? And being very careful not for it to escalate into, again, fear and anxiety. So arm yourself with facts, go to the sources as to what that looks like. And it is a huge risk, and there's a lot of information that's come out now with regards to the impact on someone's mental health, especially if they have a mental health issue. And I think it's to look at that self-isolation or self-distancing, yes, can protect you and it provides safety to you and to others. But what can you do in those moments to ensure that you don't get lonely, you don't get too bored, and that negative thinking doesn't escalate?
What is SADAG doing for those that are feeling a bit overwhelmed right now during this very uncertain and unknown time?
I think it's so important for SADAG. Obviously, we're keeping our services open 24 hours a day. The great thing is that we provide free telephonic counselling, so people can still pick up the phone, especially just to check in. When we feel often overwhelmed by the anxiety and the fear, just talking to someone can really help. So we're offering that service still, and we're even encouraging people to offer it to a friend. Make sure they've got the number. Let them check in. Some of the things that SADAG is trying now to do, and I think we're all forced to go online, is, again, just share our online services. So we have WhatsApp chat that you can chat to a counsellor. You can chat to us online via our website. You can send an SMS and we can call you back. We also are providing platforms through our Facebook page and updates on social media. But we're going to be hosting what we call a Facebook Friday, where we have our experts come, our psychiatrists, and offer free advice for an hour next week, Friday, the 27th of March. And we might even run more of these sessions going forward to provide people a safe space where they can come on, ask any questions they have without having to leave home. And we don't know what will happen in a week's time. but you can get free advice without leaving the comfort of your own home, and just make sure that we're looking after their mental health. SADAG has also started an online toolkit on our website, sadag.org, which is just giving people ideas what to do while you are at home, self-isolating, self-distancing from everyone else around you, to give them tips and tools now so that you don't feel too anxious or worried or scared. What am I going to do? What's going to happen? It's just really empowering people with the facts. One of the biggest things is to filter what we're seeing, what we're reading, what we're watching. So making sure that you don't have the news on all the time, but watching at specific times of the day. Making sure that you're balancing it with things that are adding to your mental wellness is even more important now during this time.
For those that are not aware, can you just give us the call center number as well as your Instagram or Facebook handles?
So it's so easy to contact us. All of our details are also on our website at sadag.org. You can also contact our 24-hour supplemental health helpline, 0800 456 789. Really easy number. You can also SMS us on 31393 and a counsellor will call you back. And please find us on Facebook, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. You'll find our page there and we have updates every day.
Thank you so much. That was Cassidy Chambers speaking to us about mental health and your emotional well-being during the coronavirus outbreak. Right now, the numbers are increasing daily, but they're saying that stay positive, find ways to reach out to others, to find someone to talk to, and not just be overwhelmed and allow yourself to be anxious.
And we continue to remind you about the measures that you need to take in order to help contain the spread of COVID-19. Let's take a look at some of those points. Hands with soap for at least 20 seconds, or the time it takes to sing the happy birthday song twice, or sing the chorus to your favorite song. Also, you can help contain the spread of COVID-19 by cleaning your phone with an alcohol wipe or a microfiber cloth. Your smartphone carries more germs than actually a toilet seat, and the glass and metal in your phone makes it the perfect environment for coronavirus to live on. You can also minimize your chance of picking up on the virus from surfaces. The best way to do this is by washing your hands and not touching your face. Alright, you can also keep household surfaces clean. Use soapy water on doorknobs, light switches, fridges and microwave doors, toilet handles and tabletops where you cook and eat. All right, and the most important thing, and I know there's been some misinformation doing the rounds about alcohol or drinking alcohol protecting you against COVID-19. This is not true. Avoid alcohol at all costs because it certainly weakens the immune system. Drinking alcohol will definitely not protect you against COVID-19. As a matter of fact, it affects your ability to make sensible choices to protect yourself from COVID-19. All right, for more information on COVID-19, you can join the WhatsApp support group for South Africans. Simply type the word hi or hello to 0600 123 456. Add them on WhatsApp, type the name or the word hi to 0600 123 456. You can also avoid crowded places like restaurants, bars and shebeens.